On the Bruins front, now you head towards the offseason. You head towards free agency. You head towards trades, which is always fun. It looks like this offseason could be that. We'll start with free agents. Alex Pietrangelo, late last week, the Blues come out, and then Pietrangelo confirmed the report that they were going to have him explore free agency. They were kind of like, dude, why don't you go somewhere else? Why don't you go explore free agency? And if you don't get anything there, maybe we can work something out. But he wants a lot. I think it was said he wanted like 9.4 a year.
Nine point, like at least 9.25. I think he compared it to like whatever maybe Yossi signed as his extension in Nashville. I think it was kind of the benchmark that he wants to kind of, or at least be around that level in terms of an annual value.
So what's funny is he's been a really dominant, good defenseman. I mean, Bruins fans saw that firsthand in that series last year. But consistently, I mean, he's been a good defenseman for them. This year with the scoring pace seems a little much. I think he had over 70 points. I don't know if that is something that's going to be sustainable because he's 30. So again, like we're seeing here with Torrey Krug, giving a 30-year-old defenseman a large contract like that doesn't usually always work out. But Pietrangelo is a captain. Pietrangelo is a good two-way guy. He's a good all-around defenseman. You need to win a cup. Do you hand the money to a guy like Pietrangelo? Do you kick the tires on a guy like Pietrangelo even?
I mean, I think maybe you could kick the tires on him. I just don't know how realistic it is to add a guy like him when you kind of look at where he fits in. And again, if a guy like Pietrangelo is available, you find a spot to fit him in if you have the money and the need for him. But when you kind of just look at his overall skill set and where he kind of fits in, because I believe he's a right shot defenseman, right?
Yes.
He's a right shot guy. So, I mean, there's that problem in terms of, you got McAvoy and Carlo there, and maybe it's a situation where you trade Carlo. If you're looking at acquiring maybe top 6 talent, maybe you trade him and then you sign a guy like Pietrangelo. But again, you're committing a whole bunch of money to a guy who's 30 years old, and the way he kind of projects, you still think you probably get really good value for 3-4 years, maybe, 3 years at the minimum in terms of being a legitimate, top pairing guy. But still, if you're going to be forking over, $9.5 million per year for a guy like that, I think there's probably other fits where you could either acquire maybe more of a, second pairing, 20 minutes a night guy for cheaper in terms of average annual value, or on the trade market, or, divert that money towards a top 6 guy. Because I think that's more pressing than, maybe replacing a guy like Krug who has his skills, but, as long as you get maybe a solid kind of, top 4, like, I'll toss out, like, let's just say like TJ Brody or someone like that, who's a solid kind of two-way guy, probably cost you $4.5 million. Maybe that's maybe a little bit of a better deal in terms of, filling in that gap, and then using those other resources to get a top 6 guy rather than, signing Pietrangelo for big money. He'd be worth, over $2 million more than any other guy if he signs a $9.5 million contract here. And then you have to, fit in the other places where you're trading Carlo, who's still, a very, very strong shutdown guy, a guy who should still keep on getting better, who's also on, a good contract right now. And I don't think he's going to break the bank when he signs a big deal next year. So it'd be like a luxury, I would say, if you wanted to fork over that money. But would it make the Bruins better? Yes. But I still think you look at all the other kind of fires they have to put out, it makes it kind of tough to make it a realistic thing. That's one of those ones where, like, you're playing NHL and you're doing like franchise mode and you sim through the off season, and then you're like, all right, well, I think we have a little bit of cap space, so maybe the team still looks good. And then, like, you look on it and it's like they've signed, you got Pietrangelo, and it's like, okay, we had the same group coming back. Like, I'll take it, but like you can't sign anyone next year now.
Well, so here's the thing. If you did bring a guy like him on, I think you'd eventually have to trade someone like McAvoy, because McAvoy's the guy on D who's projected to get the most money. He's projected to get that big time deal whenever that happens. So I think he ultimately is the one that probably would have to get dealt, not someone like Carlo. I think Carlo you can keep because he would be less money. McAvoy would be the one who would have to go because then he'd become your second pairing right shot defenseman. You're not going to pay all that your second pairing right shot defenseman. But you're right. You're right. I mean, first of all, the Bruins have not had a good history of signing veterans from St. Louis.
Yeah, Blues
Uh,
captains. No.
yes, not too great, but I don't think that would happen with Pietrangelo. I think he would be, as you said, good for 3, 4, maybe 5 years. After that, I think it's very thin. I will say this, though. I think this offseason is proving to be very vital for defensive free agents that are at the top of their game.